Now the first layer we're going to make is the pumpkin. So we need sugar and oil. Okay, we're going to stir that up together. So that's half a cup of oil and a cup of sugar. We're going to stir that up and kind of let it dissolve pretty well. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. You can, of course, you can use a mixer with this. It's just a simple cake batter, so to be quite frank, I don't bother. So there is our eggs, sugar, oil. Now we're going to add in a cup of pumpkin puree. Now you can use canned pumpkin or fresh pumpkin, but you cannot use pumpkin pie filling. It's got to be just pumpkin. Okay, so we'll put that in there. Stir that in. Do a bit of batter. Now in the recipe, I call this my wet ingredients. Now I'll add a teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. Put that in there. So that's the wet ingredients mixed together, and I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to gather and mix up the dry ingredients. Now for the dry ingredients, we're going to need to take a cup of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of salt. Now, because there's 2 other layers to make with this recipe, I'm not going to mix it together right now. I'm not going to mix the cake layer together. I'm just going to get it all ready. The reason for that is the minute you add baking powder to wet ingredients, the baking powder activates. And I don't want it activating too much before it goes in the oven because I'm afraid of it getting flat. So I'm just going to put that aside. Okay, so that will be the 2 parts of the pumpkin batter. Now, we're going to make the cream cheese layer. So to make the cream cheese layer, it's really simple. You need softened cream cheese. This is an 8-ounce square. And then you need a 1/3 cup of sugar. Just plain white sugar. Pour that in there. I'm going to whip that together. Scrape down the sides, and I'm going to add some vanilla. Okay, scrape down the sides here. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla to that, and I'll beat it again. Okay, so let's mix that up. So that's our cream cheese layer. I'm going to put that aside. And now I'm going to get out one more bowl. And in that bowl, we're going to make the spicy cinnamon streusel. And for that, we're going to take half a cup of brown sugar. Put that in there. Half a cup of white sugar. We'll mix those two up together really well. We're going to use half a cup of butter. Put that in there. I need a bigger bowl, I think. Hold on. This bowl's a little too big, but this bowl's a little too big, but it's not going to make such a mess. Okay, that'll make it easier. So we're going to use butter. It's got half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, and half a cup of butter in there. Make sure your hands are clean. I washed them before I started. And I want you to take and mix this up to like a paste. Okay, so now you need half a cup of flour. I'm going to add that. Just a little bit. We're going to add our spices. I'm going to wash my hands off quick. We're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. Quarter teaspoon of ginger. Quarter teaspoon of cloves. I told you this was spicy. Quarter teaspoon of nutmeg. It smells amazing, by the way. And then finally, we're going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder. Now, all the baking powder does is it reacts like in every other thing, and it makes your crumble a little softer, a little more airy. It's going to react with the wet butter. Okay, now we're going to make that into a nice strudel, and we're going to work it until it's all kind of broken up and about the size of small peas. It's pretty much a cooking term you'll hear all the time. There we go. So there is our streusel layer, okay? Now we got all that done. We can start to assemble. First thing we want to do, the pumpkin mixture with all the spices and oil and everything in it. And now we're going to add the dry ingredients. And you want to mix this up until it's just blended. Because now that you've put it together, it's important to try and work the recipe as fast as you can to get it in the oven. Okay, so there's that. That's the pumpkin. Here's our greased and floured 8-inch pan. And we're going to fill it with pumpkin filling. Hope you can see that okay. Okay, we're going to spread that around the bottom of the pan, making sure we get all the sides. Smoothly as I can. Now we're going to top that with our whipped cream cheese. And to do that, I'm just going to take it like this, and I'm going to put dollops on top of my pumpkin. Must be good. I have a helper looking in the bowl already over here. So, okay, so there goes the next layer. I'm going to take my spoon very carefully. I spread this on top of my pumpkin mixture. Just light little strokes, right? You don't want to swirl it in there because that way it comes out as a layer. Okay. Now, I got that all done. We're going to put the streusel on top. And for the streusel, I'm not going to pat it down too much. I'm just going to make sure that it goes to every corner here. Okay, so that's all done. Now it's going to pop in the oven for 350. And I'll share some pictures of it once it's done and cut. Okay.